Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome to the online course on the entrepreneurial mindset. Today we'll be talking about effectual finance. Effectual finance is different than the corporate finance. And why is it different and how is it different? So when effectuation lens comes into your application principles, and when you are using these five principles, and then your decision making style changes. So in terms of finance, when you apply that in for raising money, for spending money, so that perspective changes your finance function. So that is why we call it effectual finance. So to understand that in detail, we'll be looking at Stacy's pita chips case study. This is a real-time case study which happened in the United States of America, and we'll try to use this to understand the concepts of effectual finance. So the story is about two protagonists, Stacy and Mark, who were raised on the west coast of United States of America. It was the time frame is 1996, and when they moved to Boston, they started living there. Mark is a psychologist, Stacy is a social worker. They both have experience in the Californian food industry by working in restaurants. They know trends in the US that often move from west to east, and they believe that they can use their learning somewhere to introduce something interesting here. They want to pursue an entrepreneurial career. They're a strong believer in healthy diets, and they are under a loan. So the journey once again starts from the western coast. They travel to the east coast, Boston, which is a historical place, and which having a lot of tourists. So the starting what to do, that made them to look at their bird in hand, and from there they were attracted to the food business. And they're lacking family support there, and they have a lot of debt, so they have to meet their day-to-day expenses in a very creative way. So the easiest and the cheapest thing which comes into mind is to start with a push cart by selling sausages and hot dogs on the streets of Boston. And they started making some good money, but they're not satisfied internally because they are not practicing what they preach and what they believe that was a healthy food, healthy living. And so they were in a big sort of dilemma. What to do next? So as they keep on thinking, they come up with various options. And the various options are to keep on selling sausages in the push cart, but this is not consistent with values. Go for a job. Job is against. They want to pursue an entrepreneurial career, not consistent with their goals. They can go for the California sandwiches, but how much interest will they get here and the costing things, do something else. So as they think and deliberate, they go for option number three, which they think is close to their bird in hand and has a very less affordable loss. So they start looking into detail. What are the pros and cons of selling healthier sandwiches? And in terms of, income, expenses, and money questions. So, so they think they can make money, and they think there's a demand because they think they've experienced the hot dogs things. So they think they can leverage the healthy diet thing here, offer something unique and new. And this is the thing coming from the West Coast, so maybe they will hit upon a big number. So their expenses will change a bit, maybe the ingredients. They'll have to buy fresh ingredients for this. And how can they make it cheaper? They come to know that they can buy, cheaper breads if they use one day earlier uh, cooked or baked breads. So maybe they can find a manufacturer to get a cheaper rate. So they have to spend some time here. Push cart, they already have one, but are they willing to lose the revenue from the hot dogs? And of course, they can, I think, take a risk. It's not that big risk. Time, so they have time. So they eventually, in 1997, the couple decides to make and sell these sandwiches, wrap sandwiches on a push cart in Boston, and the sandwich venture started doing pretty well, and the demand went high, and you see a lot of queue. The queue is there, and what happened is people towards the end, they kept on trickling away. So here they're not able to serve the customers fully, and they have a lot of lost customers and lost opportunity. So at this point of time, they start wondering what to do, how to take care of this lost opportunity, and they start looking at what to do. So one option is to buy another card, or lease another card, or rent another card. So they have various options, and they need another card. So another card may be helpful for them, and that can, and then maybe they'll have to hire, or maybe use the same card and hire more staff. So the another option, the other thing is ignore the queue and go home once all sandwiches are sold, and that's it. Don't care for the customers lost. So and there's look for other options. So they reflect, and they're not satisfied with the first three, and eventually they keep on reflecting, and they proceed with the last option to do something else. They start thinking and reflecting how to engage and how to catch the lost customers. So after a lot of reflections, they come to these points that offer snacks to people standing in the queue. Maybe they will be engaged and busy in eating, to provide coupons. And those people who are like after point 10, 11, 12, they will be given coupons as a compensation to wait. And if they're waiting, they will be use these coupons to get a deal, and find some entertainer who keeps on singing and entertaining people in the queue. So they keep on thinking about it and looking at the pros and cons of all these options. If they offer a snack, if they offer entertainment and the coupons. So you see the entertainment has a cost attached to it. Coupons have a cost, they have to print it. The income will be high, but they have to print this cost. The income will get low actually, because they will be offering a reduced price, but the volumes will go up. So entertainment cost will go up, sales will go up. In case of snacks, they'll have to spend an extra cost. So they're looking at these pros and cons, and they eventually went for. They thought that let's go for snacks. So they said let's go and do this small experiment. So they decide to offer snacks, but they can't buy something off the shelf. So they thought what to do. So after reflection, they came at, hey, we have leftover pita bread. Let's sprinkle it with cinnamon and garlic, and when we apply that, it will be something interesting and tasty. And they tested themselves, they liked it, and they distributed it to the people waiting in the line. And that was amazing. The unexpected happens, and people standing in the queue, when they reach the counter, they ask for these chips. We need that. So demand for chips increased and the demand for sandwiches decreases. What a surprise. Lemonade principle comes into action, and they start thinking what to do next. License these chips, partner with someone who can make them, obtain funding for chips. So focus towards fix, or focus towards sandwiches, get funding and make it grow it. So or find some other option. So they are stuck with this, and eventually they are not sure what to do. So they stop and think and reflect. So what to do? The reflection and stopping gives you an opportunity to dig deeper. So they speak to other people in the industry, read trade journals, magazines, papers, talk to colleagues and competitors. And as a result of these conversations, they drop the idea of, they say, let's cross sandwiches. Let's only go for chips. And the data which they have been spending time on research tells us that this opportunity seems to be a big opportunity, and but they need to look for ways to make chips while spending as less money as possible. So what to do? They need an oven to bake them, they need space, they need a machine to slice, they need ingredients, and all of them need money. And it depends how you look at things. So if you look at the causal lens makes you think big. Effectual lens makes you look creatively in a small way. If they think big, they need a loan, they need a partnership. So they're sort of in a way confused, but eventually they have an effectual lens. And with the effectual lens, they find out that there's a bakery in the neighborhood which shuts down at 8 p.m. and they go and contact them and say, sir, can we have your space oven and bread cutting machine? We'll pay you for that. So at a reduced price, they get a bakery in the evening time. So they get access to the bakery, although smaller in size, but they're able to make their products there, and their revenues jump. They go to $450,000. The bakery space is small, and they think what to do next. What shall we do to scale up? So what to do to scale up? They need another space. Their own space is small. They need to find some. They need money for equipment and people, or leave this option, do something else. So once again, with the effectual lens, they think that they need to work for more and understand their cost. So they look at their costs. What are their costs? What is the fixed cost? What is their variable cost? The fixed cost is anything which is going to be once, and then the variable cost which depends on the sales. So they start looking at the real cost, and the real cost comes out to be these five major costs. The oven. A new oven is available for $160,000, but they found an indigenous oven maker who can make it for $80,000. So that's a good deal. Maybe entrepreneurs go for this. A second-hand oven is $13,000. Maybe this is a good option. Ingredients. They have to use fresh ingredients to make healthy diet, and they don't want to do a compromise. They may have to spend more. However, they can use a one-day-old bread, which is fine, and maybe they can get a reduced price here and get some leftovers from a manufacturer. A slicing machine is essential. It's costing $100,000, but they're able to find an old one which can be customized. A carrot machine. Staff. They have 15 people, but if they hire more, the cash flow burden will be there. So this is one cost. A packaging machine, they can't do it with hands. They need a new machine. Second hand is not available. So these costs in the machines are there, and then the people and the ingredients. These two categories, and they start looking what to do. So this is the picture of Mark and Stacy in the formative years, and the packing, and you see in the inventory system. So we'll be talking about the use of the bootstrapping, use of effectual finance. And bootstrapping is like boots. You use your strings, you tighten it, and then you can run fast. So we use this analogy to depict that the entrepreneurs use the money and resources within his bird in hand in a creative way to reduce the cost. So let's see what they do. So to find money, you have to look at within you. So there is some obvious resources. Obvious resources is within you. Your family, your friends, your uncle, brothers, friends, any investors, any bank, any you see government funding, any grants. So these are pretty obvious, where people know about it. The not so obvious sources are like factoring, convincing the customer to invest, convincing the suppliers to invest, using media to share your story and find some customers, and investors, and use professional advisors. So a good entrepreneur uses both obvious and not so obvious resources to find people. So this is what they did. What they did was they find out that a woman entrepreneurship soft loan is available for those companies in which the major owner is a woman. So they say, hey, why don't we change our ownership? So Stacy was made the majority owner of the company, and they were eligible to get funding from Bank Boston. They asked for a $60,000 loan to buy packaging equipment and supplies, and they were able to get that. They partnered with an oven manufacturer to make the oven. They couldn't, so they got it done for $80,000, half the original price. And when they needed a second oven, they used it from a bankrupt bakery using their credit card. So the credit card is you pay now, but if you have a loan till the end of the month, so if you pay before the end of the month, you have no interest payments. So they leveraged that facility, and the carrot slicing machine was obtained, which was 40 years old, and Mark bought it cheaper, and he adjusted it for his use. So look at a very interesting way of raising money, which is unprecedented, and you can't. It's very difficult to find these examples in corporate finance. They needed a place. They needed a place, a warehouse, a facility for their operations, and it was very costly to get in the downtown. They went to the suburbs and they found a cheaper place. They went to their uncle, family, in-laws, parents, and they found unused and furniture which could be repaired and brought these furniture here, tables, chairs, and they were able to get these things for free. They needed a manager, so the manager needs to be given a salary and they don't have money. So Stacy brings her brother in exchange for a share of the profit. So you're bringing in people who are competent, who are committed, and when they need more staff, they will hire temporary staff. Nothing is spent on advertisement. They give samples in trade shows. They visit those. They go to cooking demos, public appearances, and grocery stores. They show up there. They wanted to make a website, and the website needs some money, and they don't have that. And they get, you see, an accidental or sort of meeting with Babson College. It's number one in entrepreneurship students, and they're looking for some guest entrepreneurs. And in exchange of a guest faculty, guest speaker, they uh, get a deal with the students who will make a website for them. So look at the creative way, the innovation coming in. And that's a quick summary of the case that they're moving from the west coast to the east coast, down the push cart, and then they are making healthier Californian style pizzas. People like it. People start standing in the queue. They start offering chips to the queue. People in the queue sprinkle with cinnamon, and the unexpected happens, and these chips becomes favorite. And they drop the sandwich. They go here and then they rent a space, and this story keeps on moving. They move to a suburb, and you see that they expand the chip business. By 2000 they had like $1.3 million revenue, and 5 years later they got $60 million revenue, 100 employees, and they sold their company to PepsiCo. So very interesting story, full of creativity, innovation, effectuation, and you see a variety of you see chips and various flavors coming up. This is a picture of the website, picture of the factory, and we see the chips being made and the staff, the employees, and some of her you see her products which can be used with chips, and her story which will be shared along with her own story from her website. So this is a very interesting story, and we're looking forward to apply these principles in our own startups. And once again, you see creativity and innovation and effectuation can help you do wonders. Thank you very much.